Preppers and Patriots. I'm Ken Williams with the Modern Day Patriot, and this is the Patriot Classroom. Okay, today we're talking about community. No, not the television show Community. We're talking about the Prepper Patriot community. So the definition of community is a feeling of fellowship with each other as a result of sharing common attitude, interests, and goals. Within the Prepper Patriot community, there's a lot of that. You share similar attitudes about yourself, about your community around you, as far as your location, your attitude towards your government, attitude towards other people in general, as well as shared interests with it, like preserving food, gardening, Second Amendment, and then the goals. We all have a lot of shared goals in common, like life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's a really big goal to have within the Prepper and Patriot community. So that's what we're talking about today, is community. And I want to go over a few things with you. I want to three topics, three general headers where I see community can build. Prior to, in my previous job, I was an assistant pastor, and my major job was building community, building contacts with people. And so I think I have a little bit of insight on how to do this. And I've been trying to slowly build this within our group. And like with anything, people have lives, people are busy, people come and go, and that's fine. That's not my job to worry about who comes and goes. I was told a long time ago, when you do something like this, you are a bus driver. You start, you stop, you open the door, let people in, let people off, and those that are on the bus while you're driving are those the people, that's your community. And when they come and they go, it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's your job is to drive the bus. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to drive the bus. And so we're going to build community. Now, like I said, I've talked about this a little bit here and there within our group. And after the debate the other night, really got thinking about what to do, how to build this. And within the Prepper and Patriot community, there's a few buzzwords that they like to use, like a militia, or a prepper group, or a mutual assistance group, things like that. And one of the things I didn't quite like what President Trump had talked about, or lack of talking about, was when they brought up the whole white supremacist and militia groups. Two different things completely. 100% two different things. Now, I will agree there are some militia groups that have some racist tendencies. Sure, I can subscribe to that. But the fact that the president did not stand up and say, no, they're two different things, and this is why, that kind of made me upset. So I am going to not subscribe to the whole, we're going to become a militia, we're going to become a prepper group, we're going to become a mutual assistance group. We're going to become a community. Now, everyone can get behind community. Whether what color you are, what nationality you are, what gender you are, everyone can get behind community. Everyone wants to be part of a group. And that's what we're going to do with the Modern Day Patriot. And we're going to become a community. Now, that may mean we have community here, a community there. It's all going to depend on location-based, because community is all about context, building context with one another. And so that's where I'm going to get into my points. So my first point is identify what is important to you. Only you can do that. You've got to identify what is important to you. Because if you don't have things that are important to you, then you'll just fall for anything. And so finding what is important to you, what you will stand for when times get tough, when rubber meets the road, what is important to you? What will you stand up for? So that's the first point, to identify what is important to you. Number two is finding others that have a shared value system as you. Now, that necessarily doesn't mean faith stuff. That's part of it, but that's not what I'm talking about. Find people who share the same importance in their lives. Family, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, things like that. What is important to them, and find people that have those same interests. So if your family is the most important thing in your life, then find other people, other families, that is their main thing. Because when you start putting families together, people who have shared ideas, shared values, shared goals, then you become a bigger community and become a stronger community. That is key. So find other people who have the same, who value the same thing. That may take time because everyone has a little bit different idea of what they value and so on and so forth. But if you can find people who closely resemble what you value, you can start building context together. And that is key. Number 3, which leads right into number 3, is earning trust. That is key. When you talk to other preppers and patriots, people are concerned. I'll put it that way. People are concerned because if I go and say, oh, I've got all this food, I've got 3 years worth of food stored away for when the zombie apocalypse happens, and your neighbor finds out about this, or you're all excited because you tell them about it. Well, a lot of people feel like they have a target in the back. And nowadays, there's a potential for that. But if you do step 1, you find out, you identify what is important to you. And step 2, that you identify people who have the same values as you. Step 3 isn't quite as hard as you think it is. When you start putting yourself out there in small bits, I'm not saying go run down to the local VFW and tell everybody you've got this gun, that gun, and a cannon, and a flamethrower, and you've got a bazillion rounds of ammo, and you've got enough food for 100 people for 4 years. I've said it before, the whole loose lips, sink ships things. Yeah, you've got to do things in small, minute bites. Especially for those the uninitiated, those that are not preppers or patriots. The average Joe who has seen what's going on lately in the news, or has heard about all the violence that's going on around maybe in their community, and they're not sure what to do. When you start talking about owning 10 bazillion rounds of ammunition and enough food to feed an army, people can either get scared by that, or turned off by that, or just think you're nuts and want nothing to do with you. So when you start doing things in little bits, that's where I'm saying, number 1, identify what is important to you. So if your family is important to you, when you find other people who value their family and put their family first, you start sharing commonality. When you start sharing commonality, you can start building context together. Context is key when it comes to community. You can earn trust through mutual commonality. It may take time. I'm not saying you're going to become buddies and you're going to become best friends and you're going to be spending every weekend together barbecuing in the backyard. But what I'm saying is that when you start identifying what is important to you and find people who have the same value system, the same important goals in life, you can start sharing these small, minute bits and to start slowly, maybe over time, building the context so that you earn trust with one another, so that then you can become stronger. Stronger is a key when it comes to community. There is unity in community. And so that is where number 3 is key, is when you start building trust. You start building trust through participating with each other. You start getting into people's lives, whether that's, oh, their neighbor has a party going on, a barbecue going on, and they invite you. Now, if you always say, no, I'm not interested, or I can't, or just make up an excuse because you don't want to go over, eventually they're going to stop asking. Or if something comes up and you need a hand with something, because you keep saying no to things, they're more than likely going to say no themselves. So I understand that it's tough to put yourself out there, but when you start building contacts with people, when you start putting yourself out there, and like I said, I'm not talking about laying everything to bear. I'm saying the little things. Someone's got a flat tire, give them a hand. If they're building a deck in the backyard, offer to help. It's the little things like that. When you start building these little things, it becomes bigger, and your trust level is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that is the key thing for number 3 for building trust is start small and work your way into bigger things. And before you know it, you'll have a team of people, of a community of people who are willing to stand and help each other. Because if you can't do the small things, they're never going to do the big things. And I won't get into the bigger things. You know what I'm talking about. You can use your own imagination. Start small and work your way up and make the context and the trust level bigger. There's a quote by Helen Keller that says, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. That's real insight there. And so that's where I want to go there. So here's my handy dandy Sharpie. So you're going to identify what's important to you. That's the first step. Second step, you're going to find shared values. Shared values. Step number 2. Number 3 is participation. Number 3, participation. So, you may have seen these Venn diagrams before. So, right there, that's your community. When you can identify your values and you can find shared values and you start participating in people's lives, community is there in the middle. That's where you'll grow. That's where you start building things. That's where you can know that when things get rough, and I won't go into that, you know what I'm talking about. When things get bad, you'll have a brother and a sister, a community that you can rely on, or they may have to rely on you. That's the point of community. Whether you subscribe to this or not, whether you have a faith belief or not, myself, I'm a Christian. And one of the key verses that fits right in with this is Hebrews 10:25. It says, don't stop meeting together with other believers, which some have come into the habit of doing. Instead, encourage each other, especially as you see the day draw near. Now, a lot of people use that as you've got to go to church. I don't fully subscribe to that. Yes, church is important. But fellowship, getting together, building community, I see that is the key of that verse. And so that's where the rubber meets the road right there, is getting together, building context, finding shared values. That's how you build a community. That's what I want to see modern day prepper become. And so my homework for you is that identify what is important to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the Facebook group. And I put out a question of the day the other day asking what is important to you. So you're going to identify what is important to you. When you identify what is important to you, then you can start using your ears or watching on social media for people who have shared values. When you find people who have shared values, start off small. Just talk to them. Talk to people about little things. How's life going? Did you see the debate the other night? That will open up a can of worms you may not be prepared for, but it is an open door. No matter what side you're on, left, right, in the middle, you ask about the debate the other night, and you'll find it real quick if you have shared values or not. And then you can go from there. So that is your homework. Identify what is most important to you. Then use your listening skills to listen to people. You may not notice it, but people are dropping hints all the time about what they value. And when you start listening to people, you'll find it real quick if they're compatible with you or not, as far as shared values. If you can find people who have shared values, then you start participating in life together. You start doing life together. You start building context. That is how you build a community. And that is your homework. Identify, listen, find shared values, and start participating with people. It's not going to be easy. I understand that. Everyone has lives. Everyone has busy. But as I see things getting darker, and I won't go all doom and gloom, but as things get rougher, especially as the election comes, and I mean, look at 2020. My concern is 2021 is going to be worse. So if you can find a community of people that you can start building contacts with now, when things get really bad, or if just things, natural disasters, things that, job loss, things like that. That's what a community is for. When you start building that context, when you start sharing those same values, and you let people know, hey, this is something I'm really into. Let's try developing this. You'll find people who, you'll be surprised. You'll find people who are willing to do the same thing. It just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of willingness to put yourself out there, and you'll find people who want to do this. So that's my homework for you. I hope this was exciting. You know what to do, the likes, the subscribes. I don't need to tell you, you know about it, all that stuff. You can check us out pretty much everywhere, Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff. So like it, subscribe it. I greatly appreciate it. Facebook seems to be our biggest community. You can check us out there. I post stuff a couple times a day there. I appreciate you all, and I hope you learned something today. I will talk to you later. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this content, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.